Hey guys, Brandon. I thought I'd go over a game that I just played on ChessCube, and I wasn't recording, but I wish I was because it was a lot of fun and very instructive and really a crush by me. And well, I thought I'd just show it. So I had the black pieces versus a 2,000 rated opponent, somewhere in the 2000s. So my rating on ChessCube is mid 2200s. So this is a little lower rated than me, but 2000 is a decently strong opponent. So anyway, he played d4, and I played knight f6, knight f3, g6, bishop g5. So he's adopting some kind of Torre attack setup. Not the most aggressive for white, but certainly not bad. Bishop g7, knight bd2. So I'm deciding after e3 to play sort of a King's Indian setup with d6, and then later e5. So bishop d3. Now I played bishop g4, and the idea is to give the bishop up for this knight, just to take, because in these sort of King's Indian, Pierce, Benoni type of setups, unless you're playing the King's Indian with the blocked center and you're rushing your pawns against the king, this bishop pretty much just sits here on c8 until you are ready to sacrifice it on h3. But other than that, in those types of positions, it's often hard to find something for this bishop to do. So the idea is just to trade it and alleviate some of my cramp. So okay, he gets the bishop pair, but after knight d7, e4, expanding in the center, e5. I think black's position is pretty stable, pretty solid. So he played the move after e5. He played d5, getting some space in the center and on the queen side, and he should probably try to play some kind of plan with c4 and c5 to try to break open lines on the queen side, but he engages in nothing resembling that, and instead, after d5, I played the move a5. The point of this move a5 is to try to get the c5 square for my knight, so this pawn taking control of the b5 square, making it slightly more difficult for white to play b4. He can try to prepare it with a3 and b4 or c3 b4, but that should hopefully create some weaknesses. But anyway, after a5, he played the move a4, maybe thinking that I wanted to push on to a4, but this, of course, only helps me get this square c5 for my knight. So knight c5, knight comes in, puts pressure on e4, and just generally has a nice square. You can see my strategy is sort of to get a grip on these dark squares, which is a plan in a lot of King's Indian, Benoni, Pierce type of positions. So he plays the ludicrous move, bishop c4, which is bad for a number of reasons. First of all, it hangs the e-pawn. You can just play knight takes e4, which I did. Second of all, it's wasting time, because there's literally almost no chance of me taking this bishop on d3. This bishop is just a dummy. It's a terrible piece, blocked in by all the center pawns. It's doing nothing. It's holding up protection of e4, but other than that, it's doing absolutely nothing. He should welcome this exchange of my well-placed knight versus this bishop. So that's just another reason, even if the e-pawn wasn't hanging. So bishop c4, okay, takes the pawn. Bishop h4 was this next move. I don't understand that, but queen d7, some development. Queen e2, c6, and now he played the move queenside castle. I think maybe his idea was that now that he's down a pawn, the only chance for him to play for any kind of win is to go for some kind of attack. But it's really life gets really tough for him pretty quickly on the queen side, because there's really easy ways for me to open the lines on the queen side. There's already this pawn that I can exchange here, and then open the c-file against the king. Excuse me, drew a couple extra arrows there. And I can also play for the move b5, striking at this weakness and trying to open lines against the king. So I played the move queen c7 to try to put the queen opposite the king and prepare the move b5. I'm already up a pawn, so I don't even mind a pawn sacrifice. So I was really thinking about b5, but if I play b5 right away, oops, If I play b5 right away here, I thought that he could take first here with this tempo on the queen, and then after queen takes, well, this move looks strong actually. I didn't see bishop d5 attacking the queen and the knight, so that would be losing. But also here, attacking the queen, getting the pawn back. This looks is probably okay for me because I'm not really down a pawn. He already lost this pawn over here, so it's even material, and I have lines on the queen, but of course bishop d5 is bad, so queen c7 gets out of any of that. He played the move g4, threatening to push this pawn onto g5, and then chase away the defender of this knight. So I just played this knight back to c5. And now he played a move that actually, for some reason, the computer recommends. It already says I have a significant advantage at this point, but this move is questionable at best, if you ask me. I completely disagree with the computer on this one. He plays the move bishop takes f6. And the problem with this is that after bishop takes f6, you're basically admitting as white, I'm a pawn down and I have no chance to do anything except try my best to defend on the king side. Because this bishop can be unleashed on the diagonal with just a simple, even as a pawn sack at this point, e5, unleashing this bishop on this really awesome diagonal against the king. And in addition to that, even after g5, bishop comes back, even if he managed to get in the pawn all the way to here, the bishop can just sit here on h8, play play defensive and offensive roles, and it's really, really difficult in these fianchetted positions for one side to attack unless they can get rid of this bishop, and there's no way for him to do it. So you're basically saying, I'm not going to have any successful attack, and I'm just going to try to defend this position. So you're practically eliminating any chances of a win or of any attack. So after he played g5, bishop g7, he played the move b3. Hard to say what else he should do, but this is also really very, very nice for me to see because he's leaving all these very nice dark squares for me that will be unprotected because he has no dark square bishop. And in addition, I can take advantage of a tactic here and play the move b5, which I did. After a takes b, c takes b, the point is, after this pawn capture, I have knight takes b3 check because of the pin on the pawn, regaining my material and just blowing open his king side completely and giving myself this crazy awesome passed pawn which could become a queen later. But he played king b1, maybe one of the only moves. But now I followed up with queen c3, strong move, threatening checkmate. And my idea was that the king is just too open after this pawn sacrifice, after queen b3 checks. First of all, this knight is hanging if the queen interposes, so I get my material back. I have 2 pawns for the piece right now, and his king is so open, e5 is coming, and these dark squares. This just is one of those things that you're like, there's no way that he could probably survive this. So king c1 just gave another check, and now he interposed, so I grabbed the knight. He played the move rook hg1, and his idea was to try to chase the queen out with rook g3, but that's really just a waste of time, and it gives me a tempo to play a very important move, e4, opening the bishop up on this diagonal. And now comes rook g3, but at queen f4 check lets me save the tempo, and now my bishop and all these, the C and B file are open, and the king's just not going to last very long. So rook e3, now rook a b8, attacking the bishop, getting the rook on the open file. He played queen e2 to try to hang on to the bishop, but now rook fc8 check. He played king b1. If he played this move, king d2, my idea was bishop check here, And at the very least, I think I'm picking up an exchange here after king coming back, and then discovered check here. So at the very least, I could pick up the exchange and be up and exchange 2 pawns, and his king be completely open. So that was my plan, I think. Maybe I would have looked further, but after rook check, he played king b1, which, I mean, it's just the lesser of 2 evils, I guess. Now his king is restricted because this rook is going to prevent the king from ever escaping down out to the king side or towards the center. So I played the move queen e5, strong move, threatening this checkmate here. So he has to find some way to defend the square here, a1. He can't really defend it with the queen because this bishop is hanging, so he tries rook a3, defending this square, the queen defending here. But it's already game over now. But rook c5 is just really putting the screws to him. This pawn hanging, this bishop is pinned and attacked twice, only defended once. He tried rook takes a5, but I had my reply ready, and the reply is queen c3. Getting the queen closer to the king, attacking this rook, which cannot maintain defense of this bishop, which is pinned. So at least a piece is falling here, and it's probably forced mate. He played the move king a2, and after queen takes a5 check, he resigned because, of course, the king has to go somewhere here, and then it's check coming here. The only way to stop the mate is this, and then something like this is going to be mating in a few moves. Plus, he's down just a bishop and a queen anyway, even if there was no mate. So, rightfully so, after queen takes a5 check, he resigned. So that was kind of a fun game, just an opposite side castling attacking game. And I think there were a few key points in the game. First of all, after knight c5, bishop c4, just hanging the pawn. But even if the pawn wasn't hanging, wasting time with the bishop is because there's no reason for me to take that bishop. So bishop h4, queen d7. Queenside castling, maybe you could annotate that with a question mark. Looks too dangerous to me. Okay. Whoops, not b5. Queen c7, g4, knight c5, and now this move, bishop takes f6. Very, very strange. And in addition, b3. Maybe there was no other way to protect this pawn that was under attack by this knight. But it's just giving me so many nice dark squares to play with that I would say this was another positional mistake. So b5 came, yeah, the check, and then it's just, I mean, I guess I came up with good moves here, but they weren't really hard to find. There's just too many open lines against the king, too much going on, too many dark squares on the long diagonal to play with. And it's just game over here after queen c3. So, yeah, fun game. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that, and we'll see you next time.